But first, Lipizzan horses. Those white dancing stallions are one of the proudest traditions of Austria. That's where the breed began some 400 years ago. But about 25 years ago, a Chicago steel industrialist decided to import some of the Austrian tradition to America. Tempel Smith never thought of anything in a small way, we're told. The Tempel Good Luck Farm north of Chicago is evidence of that, as Bob Wallace discovered.
Words flow easily when describing Lipizzan horses. They are elegant, proud, majestic. Lipizzans have been called the dancing white horses, and in fact, they often seem more akin to ballet dancers than common animals. For 400 years, only the Spanish riding school in Vienna, Austria could put on such a show. But these are not Austrian-born Lipizzans, they're American-born.
Very beautiful exhibition by the Tempel Lipizzans from Chicago, Illinois.
The Tempel Lipizzans of Chicago actually lived north of Chicago in Wadsworth, Illinois, in Lake County on Tempel Good Luck Farm. The farm began back in 1958. A man named Tempel Smith already owned the Tempel Steel Company, but while on a trip to Europe, Mr. Smith found a new interest, as daughter Linda explains.
My father visited Vienna and saw the Spanish riding school and the Lipizzans and was so impressed by the spectacle of what he saw that he wanted to preserve and carry on the tradition in this country.
Tempel Smith died in 1980, but not before he saw the herd multiply from the 20 mares he originally imported to more than 350 horses. It's now the largest Lipizzan farm in the world. Day starts at 6 a.m. in the main stallion barn. The 15 horses that regularly perform all have daily grooming and exercise. Beauties like Neapolitano Santuza get a going over from head to tail. Treat this one special, says stable master Gary Hicks. He's performed before presidents.
Where you really notice your time paying off is when you get into the big stadiums and all of a sudden you can just feel the anticipation of the crowd, and then like the spotlights hit the horses with all the gleaming tack and everything, and the white, it just kind of stands out. It's almost like part of history.
The names of the horses reflect that history. Names like Pluto Fantasca, Pluto Bonita. The first name is the bloodline of the sire, come down through the ages. The second name is that of the mother. Only stallions are used in performance. They are stronger than the mares, and besides, that's the way the Emperor of Austria wanted it back in 1565. Horses already fully trained get only a 30-minute refresher course every morning. Riders are also the trainers, 4 men in all. Most of the riders have more than 20 years riding experience each. Most are European, since Europe has had closer ties to classical riding. All the horses have specialties. Some do the Grand Prix dressage movements, which are fancy versions of the basic walk, trot, and canter gaits. One classic Lipizzan movement is the piaffe, a kind of trotting in place. But the movements the Lipizzans are best known for are the airs above the ground, when the horses seem to defy gravity. The Lipizzans are strong, intelligent horses and seem to have a natural talent for the airs movements. As rider Carl Mikolka explains, the airs were originally military maneuvers used to scare off the enemy.
All these movements were originally battle movements, and became later then when the firearms improved, it was then useless, so it became only a fancy movement for the imperial courts to show off the rider's skill and to please the audience.
This is a lavad, in which the horse stands up at 45 degrees, a great test of a horse's balance. Most difficult of all, though, is the capriole, a leap into the air with the rear legs kicking out violently. The rider uses his voice, the reins, and other aids to communicate to the horse. Riding master Alf Athenstadt.
If it is done correctly, the horse can perform all these movements on very slight aids without any force and cooperates very willingly. It should look that the horse is doing all these movements on its own accord.
Sometimes the riders say you can see the young foals doing fancy moves on their own. The foals are born dark and nearly all whitened with age. For several years, the colts lead a carefree life in the pasture, maturing, getting fully developed. But at age 3.5, training begins. Within just a few months, Athenstadt knows which colts have what it takes to become dancing white horses.
The abilities do differ to quite an extent. I think I could safely say that only about 2 out of 6 or 5 will make it to become a Grand Prix animal.
By age 6 or 7, those horses that have the talent should be fully trained. But as rider Mikulka says, the training really never stops.
It's a lifelong communication, and the older the horse gets, the longer he's in training, the easier it will be, the more human he becomes.
The harmony between man and horse is evident in the quadrille, a choreographed set of dressage movements, 4 horses performing patterns in unison.
The uniforms that the riders wear are early American cavalry uniforms from back in the early 1800s, and the saddles are the same type of saddle used at the Spanish Riding Academy in Vienna.
As beautiful as the horses are to watch, riders say it's just as beautiful a feeling when man and horse move in harmony.
In good riding, the rider should become part of the horse, and both should be carried by one mind and one thought. And there the art begins.
The Tempel Lipizzans have performed at 4 presidential inaugural parades. This summer, they'll be performing for you at Tempel Good Luck Farm. Tempel Steel, which owns the farm, has announced Saturday performances starting June 5th. Saturday and Sunday performances through July and August.
Next on 2 on 2, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat at a spelling bee.